Hello, everyone. This is Yonks with REtoken, the real estate DAO, and very excited. We've been here implementing Coordinape. We've had lots of conversations about that over the last 4 weeks now. And that was one of the things that we did whenever we were setting up our strategy for implementing Coordinape. And this is we're all learning here together. And that's one of the things that I love the format for how that we are operating here at REtoken, the real estate DAO. We are very open and transparent. We're all learning together. And one of our founding principles is best practices: find, implement, and refine. And this is one of the things, this tool, Coordinape, it's a fairly new tool. It was born out of the team from Yearn Finance, and they spun it off there. And it's basically a tool that provides a rewards distribution mechanism, and they've enhanced the capabilities as far as a permissionless and vouching opportunity. It's not something that we're using yet, but it may be something that we use in the future. So the way, just to provide a slight recap here, and this is one of the things I'm going to work on in our Google Sheets tracker to provide a nice little summary of what this round, these 4 rounds that it looked like. So we've got this denoted as round 1-4. So this was our 4th week. And we are concluding, this is the last day of week 52 of 2021. Tomorrow's Monday, and that will kick off the first week of 2022. Yes, I am a geek and I love the ISO week numbering system. Not going to talk about that, done that before. So the opportunity is here. And one of the things, we just concluded our core team call, and it's really sounding like that may be the last core team call that we have potentially. And this is something that we're going to take through our voting governance process. But one of the things that was apparent was it seemed that there was a lot of content, conversation, duplication from the community call to the core team call. So what does that mean from a Coordinape standpoint? So let's go right over here to Coordinape. You can go to coordinape.com. I'm going to just do that real quick just for everybody's benefit. And if you're watching on the live stream, make sure that you engage. We reward REtoken because we know that the YouTube, the Google, they love the engagement. Or if you're watching Facebook, we know that most of our engagement happens on YouTube. And I'm actually just going to do that real quick here myself, just so I can get some extra REtoken love. And I'm going to like this video, and I'm going to do some real quick here. Let's do this. Hello on the live stream. And I don't know if everybody's got the Google link. I'll throw that in the Zoom here so that everybody's got it as well. So let me give that to my peoples on the Zoom. And let me just go through that real quick here. We've got on the Zoom. So we've got Blur's Day, who just led the core team call. We've got Mrs. Yonks, Ryan, Ernest of Gaia, and Dax. Thank you all for hanging out here on, again, the last day of the week 52. Anyway, we're in 2022 now, and we're gonna we just concluded this REtoken relaunch. One of the things I remember now, we didn't really talk about the POAP design contest during the core team. I'll send out an announcement after that if there's any procrastinators. But getting back to implementing Coordinape. So over here, coordinape.com, launch Coordinape. There's all kinds of content on the internet about Coordinape, and we've got quite a bit ourselves here as far as how that we've been journeying through the implementation process here at REtoken. So it goes to, and one of the things that's a little weird, you have to be connected to the Ethereum mainnet. It throws an error. It doesn't provide some good whatever you call it. So you've got to be there. So right now, let me go to my profile real quick. And this is a great place that you can see recent Epic activity. So like right now, I'm going to put in an Epic statement just for everybody's benefit here. So let me put this on the I'm going to go to my little profile up here. And this also works fairly well on a mobile browser experience. Like if you use MetaMask, use the browser within MetaMask, and then you can engage fairly easily from that. I typically prefer to engage here on a desktop because I love some copying and pasting. Anyway, not going to talk about that right now. So going here to our core relaunch team, and it's looking again like that this may be the very last epic that we're doing. That was actually one of the things that I did prior to going live here, was adjusted the settings. So we're going to go up here. I selected the circle that we're wanting to allocate for, and I'm going to put in here, go to my epic, and I'm going to say hosted the Coordinape round 1-4 call on Sunday. So a real simple thing. And this is one of the things that I'm hoping that we get better at while we're making contributions outside of our live stream, because that's really the big opportunity where Coordinape comes into play. And that's one of the things that we will get more intentional about in 2022 as we are simplifying the teams. We introduced new teams in December during REtoken relaunch month. So save the epic settings, and I'm going to show you where that comes into play. Again, I was on the profile page, so going back to my profile, and now we scroll down to the epic activity, and you can see where this showed up. So this provides a very nice pane of glass. I'm sure that most people probably don't have as many. Mrs. Yonks and I work in DAOs on a full-time basis, so we are actively engaged in other DAOs that use this tool as well. So that's kind of just a real quick summary on the usage of the tool. And I'm just wanting to allow the team to chime in some thoughts as far as how the initial impressions. I mean, we've this is again the fourth week that we've used this, and I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on this tool. So do you want to kick off that conversation, Blurs?
Yeah, I was going to say, this is Ryan. So for the week, so on that, at what point in time, because for me, the issue is I would like to see like you made your epic comments, like, you in the settings, you said, this is what I did, blah, blah, blah. For me, am I wrong? Are we looking at most people aren't going to be able to fill those out until the end of the epic because you've worked for the epic or whatever. When I guess would we expect for those to be filled out so that when I go in to allocate give, I'll have a higher probability of seeing everyone having filled that out? Because the problem that I have is I go in there and not many people have a statement made about what they did.
Well, so Ryan, those are great points. And that's something that we're trying to change some culture on around getting people to fill out their epics throughout the week. And I'm terrible. I don't think I have anything on mine. So a couple things. One is we give people until Sunday, 4 a.m. Eastern time. So even assuming that the core team call stays on Sunday, by 5 p.m. Eastern, we should be done. And then you've got another 12 hours almost to fill it out. The other thing is, as people are doing stuff throughout the week, like tomorrow, we've got, I think, Dev and ambassadors or whatever we've got tomorrow. And that's something that we should probably just add into every agenda, is just to say, hey, when you're done with this call, take 5 minutes, put what you are working on right now or what you've done so far, and just get people in the habit of peppering it throughout the week, or to tell people, hey, people are allocating their gives throughout the week. If you're not doing it, if you're waiting until the last minute, if I filled out my gives on Friday and you didn't put in your contributions until Sunday and it closes like Sunday overnight, you're just not going to get any. So it's just kind of a culture shift and a habit to get people into. The other thing is a lot of the same people show up on a lot of calls. So I don't necessarily need people to fill out their epic to know who's doing what. I see lots of posts and lots of participation and work and bounties getting filled and trial, that kind of thing. So just use your best judgment. We're shifting the culture to tell people not everybody can see everything. Everybody's busy. We don't want people to miss their rewards. So just get better at promoting yourself, so that because everybody wants to give rewards. Nobody is saying that guy probably doesn't do anything, so we're just going to assume he doesn't. People saying, I don't know what you're doing, so tell me. So we just need to shift the culture on that.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, because like here I probably didn't provide a good example because we've already baked in extra incentives for people, the way that we reward REtoken, like going to the call that just concluded here. Let's take a look at this. So like on this one, looking at the REtoken rewards that's itemized on this Trello card right here, is that the Zoom host gets extra REtoken, and then there's extra REtoken rewarded for, and this is still an opportunity that we have. So we've already baked in with the way that we're currently providing REtoken rewards. So really, the expectations are that for the Coordinape activities is things that are being done outside the window of our live stream events, which I really love the format that we've created here on our live streaming format. So like this really for me isn't a good epic statement because I'm already receiving additional rewards for hosting this live stream right now. So the real opportunity is for being thoughtful, like whenever you're making contributions throughout the week, instead of just making your contribution however that you're contributing, to also pop in here and add an epic statement. Now, the other thing too is, do we want to continue a weekly cadence? And I'm a big fan of that because I think that from a habit formation standpoint, if you're not operating on a weekly basis, I mean, just our society operates on a weekly basis. I mean, that's just every calendar has a weekly function in it. And that's one of the reasons that I love the week numbering, is that it just elevates the, anyway, I can talk about that a lot because so my preference is that we continue here at least for the second round. And I mean, when we look at all the stuff, I mean, December was like an immense amount of transformational change. And I see you've got a hand up here. Go back to you, Ryan.
Yeah. So the question that gets raised in my mind at that point is to say, how many? I appreciate you making the point about the baked in versus extra, we'll call it, not extracurricular, but outside of those meetings. I appreciate that clarity. That's great. And then to say, what's the correlation between one give and one REtoken?
So it's, I think we said there's 250 or 500 REtoken, and that's a percentage. So the one, yeah, so it's 500 REtoken. So okay. Of the team, to make the math super easy, if 5 people each get 100 gives, then each of them will get 100 extra REtokens. If one person gets 17 gives and one person gets 93 gives and one person gets 26 gives or whatever, we just throw out in a formula and say, okay, this person gets 89 REtokens and this person gets 3 REtokens and whatever. So we just do it. So there's 500 total. We're really looking at this thing as a percentage of, you've got 100 to give. If you say, hey, this is how much of the pie I want to slice up, Blurs is amazing. Blurs gets 25%. Tyler didn't do anything. She gets 0. You don't have to give everybody something. It's completely up to you. You can give all 100 to somebody. You can give 50-50. You can, you do have the ability to auto split among everybody, but we highly encourage you to not do that because this isn't a participation award. This is a reward for people that are going above and beyond. And the reason why we want to say that is I do the secretary stuff. I already get REtoken for that. So I don't want people to say, oh, you're doing all this extra work, you get gives for that, because I'm already getting extra. That's why we're trying to make it clear who's already getting paid. Yeah.
And I brought up here because this right here is a tab in our Google Sheet tracker. And this is like going back to Coordinape, like in the admin over here. So like, and this is one of the things that I'll do for the circulation or the distribution over here. So looking at the core team, so like I've already done the distribution for the Epic 2 and then Epic 3. So when this one concludes here tonight, you know, I haven't done the one for Epic 4, which is technically round 1-3. And then when this one concludes, so like and this is one of the things that we put forward over here and I'll show that here real quick because it's a relevant conversation, because there were some screenshots on that and there was a proposal for that as well in the Coordinape. And let me scroll back here. It's a little ways back. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, so in some of the other DAOs that y'all participate in that are using Coordinape, that, or maybe just thinking outside of those, where they are not having these baked in kind of like we do rewards, where they're using this more as I guess the question is, are they using this more as like a payroll kind of a thing, where folks are actually allocating give based on someone's work that they did that week?
It depends. So there's a couple things. One of our DAOs that uses Coordinape, their token is pretty valuable, and they are very guarded about who they let in because they don't want people giving and handing out their tokens that have monetary value. Another one of our DAOs is really inactive in the community, and it's kind of hard to know who's doing what because the people just aren't really public. A lot of this is pretty secretive, and we're trying to open up that culture. So our REtoken is by far the most transparent community as far as who's doing what, who can see what, who knows what's happening. And it's also a little bit different because right now the token doesn't have monetary value yet. Once it does, especially if people have purchased it, they are more strategic about giving it out. Right now, it's more of we're hoping that our community continues to become more and more valuable, and that's what we're doing.
So I did find that thread. This was the thread that put forward where we were, because I was originally thinking 250 a week for this first. 250 budget a week for each circle for each round. And again, that's one of the action items that I have is to, in this Google Sheet trackers, to just do a mashup where it takes these numbers and puts it in without some of this extra detail. So looking at this one is the export, the CSV export. So this column here, like when exported, or this is actually a created column. So like this over here, I just slide this, and it's basically a calculator. So like on the this is the data that kicks out from the CSV export, and then I just added this, and then over here, like this is where you can change whether we have a 250 budget REtoken or a 500 budget REtoken. So like there's different ways to use this particular tool. So imagine if we had some project and it's like, okay, for this particular project, we're going to budget 10,000 REtoken and it's going to take 4 weeks to do it. So, you know, that would be a 2,500. And that's of course, just if you do a weekly type of an allocation. So whenever I was looking at these numbers and put this forward over here on this proposal, like I wasn't happy enough with the level of effort, because I do know that it takes some effort above and beyond, you know, to go in and be intentional about allocating. And that's the biggest responsibility that we have, is to be diligent with who that we're allocating to, because you don't want to just like give the REtoken to your buddy, because we've also seen that that's occurring in some of the, at least in one of the other DAOs that we participate in, is that like it's very clear. And that's one of the things that, like, looking at this map, and this is one of the things that I would encourage everybody to play around with, like over here, and I'm going to switch to the ambassadors where we've got a little bit more activity as far as from a quantity of people. So looking at this like first epic, it's technically epic number 2, and you can kind of see like where the flows are here. So like the green is inbound, the orange is outbound, and you can click around and kind of see. And this is one of the things I'd encourage everybody to play around with. And it tells some pretty telling stories. But that being said, like the main thing that we need to decide here is, and what I'm proposing, we've already talked about condensing down to only 3 teams: the dev team, the content team, and the ambassadors team going forward. I think just to keep it more simple, we consolidate down to 3 teams. We do the weekly epics, and then I feel comfortable with the same amount of budget. I would really like to see the efforts that we're doing amplify, and then increase potentially in our 3rd round. I like the 4-week cycle. It's a nice like round number, but I'm open to hear some thoughts and ideas. That's kind of my thoughts, is we just condense down to the 3 circles. We do the same budget here. There's going to be less transformation here in January. This is kind of like taking all the transformation that occurred during REtoken relaunch in December, and then kind of hopefully get some more legs with this, with the 3 teams: the dev team, the content team, and the ambassadors team. And then have like during round 3, which would be approximately February, then we can regroup again. That's kind of my thoughts, but I'm going to stop talking and let everybody else chime in some thoughts.
Yeah, I had a kind of a thought about the path moving forward, thinking like kind of way down the road about this idea of the monetary value of the token and it being exchanged and things like that. And then thinking about what percent of our total supply do we want to be allocating right now versus in the future, thinking about like some of these other projects that look at like, 10% is reserved for the team, or et cetera, those types of ideas, and then trying to align either our epics or the number of tokens that we're giving out per epic to kind of look at meeting some of those goals, so that if we look at our roadmap and say we're planning to launch, be on a DEX or a SEX or something like that at some point in time, then having those allocations kind of try to drive us to those percentages owned by us as a team versus an exterior buyer on an open market. That's kind of the thoughts that I had. And when we talk about reducing the amount of teams, does that give us an opportunity to increase the amount of REtoken per give or anything like that? That's just kind of what I was thinking.
Well, and since you brought up the roadmap, and this is one of the things that is very different, that I do love our roadmap that we've got on Trello, and it's linked all over the place. You can get it at trello.com/REtoken. But one of the things that's very different about our project, with us really working on being intentional about crossing the T's and dotting the I's, because we are, wanting to take a SEC and FINRA, security token dynamic. And one of the things that we've roadmapped is to do crowdfunding via regulation crowdfunding for our own community. And so a lot of the tokenomics that you see in other projects probably won't occur here, because we're looking to engage with a broker dealer and the registered transfer agent on the issuance of our security tokens. So and that, again, those conversations will be happening probably more in the Q2 leading up to Q3. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah. So, Ryan, just to give you some numbers on this, 3 teams times 500 REtoken per team to be divided among all the getters or the recipients, times 52 weeks is only 0.75% of our total outstanding treasury. So in terms of being strategic and thoughtful about what we want to give out, there's a couple things. I think as of right now, do we have 54 people that hold REtoken? Jason, is that right? Or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, there's between 50 and 60 people, and there may be more after we catch up on airdrops, but there are fewer than 100 people who hold REtoken, and we've only given out less than 0.25% of our treasury right now that's available. And you know how much this incredible body of work that this group has put forward on that small amount of REtoken. So contrast that to OpenDAO that minted 100 trillion tokens and just started airdropping it. It's kind of funny when people are like, I have 1 million tokens, I have 1 billion, I have this, I have that. I think we got something like, I don't know, whatever, 50 million tokens. It was like $80 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, the amount of engagement that we want people to have, I think is more valuable than trying to be concerned about hoarding this currency in case it's ever worth anything in the future. I think if we have such a great community that so many people want it, and that's a great problem to have. People are like, if people said, how much work would you do for 1 Bitcoin is very different than how much work you do for 1 Ethereum, because they're just worth so much different. So anyway, when our token maybe worth something in the future, or looking like it may be worth something, we can revisit that. Right now, we just want to get the most people incentivized, get the most people rewarded for their work, and build the value of our community. That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think I understand it a little bit better now. I'm thinking about it more, and then hearing that, just because if it's all about the number in circulation, so we have control of how many are going out in circulation. So
we are. And the other thing is, it's worth repeating that we did a fair launch. Jason and I, nobody on the core team, it's not like Jason and I each gave ourselves 1 million tokens and then said, you guys can split the other 8 million, whatever. So it's all the REtoken that anybody has, we all earned it the same way, including Jason and me.
Yeah, and like I said, it doesn't matter about, because my concern was about, like, if no one has that much, and it goes out into the world and somebody comes in and buys a ton, then that control factor and things like that. But in thinking about it, I realized that we control the circulating number of coins. So
we control the circulation. And the other thing is,
well, there really isn't any circulation, and that's very intentional. And that's one of the things that will also be very different, because like one of the parameters of regulation crowdfunding is that there's a 1-year lockup. And so one of the things that we will absolutely be doing in 2022, and I want to digress because this is an important thing that we also didn't talk about during the core team call, and this is one of the things that we need to also talk about. And now that I was thinking about moving this over, there needs to be some more thought, because this one is a very important live stream that we've got coming up here. This is another real estate tokenization project, and talked a little bit about that, but wanting to talk more about that now's not the time, but putting that out here. And that's one of the things that we will be having more conversations about, because we really believe that the opportunity with real estate tokenization is completely unlimited. And we want to have conversations with other real estate tokenization projects, which we hold in high regards. And I really like the efforts that CitaDAO is doing as far as building some community. And we'll have more conversations about that here tomorrow and Tuesday. I'm sure we'll take that offline because we don't have too much more time here. But the going back to the initial thoughts on the Coordinape, and again, this is just kind of a work in progress, and without changing things too much, I still think, does anybody have any objections to continuing the same format that we're doing? And then if we want to make a substantial change on that after we conclude this next round, which again would be 4 weeks, where the takeaway would be condensing it from the 5 teams to just the 3, but keep the same numbers in place, the same framework, and just get better as far as establishing these habits. And that's one of the things that I know that I personally need to get better at. I missed the boat here last week on giving out some gives.
Yeah, I sorry for all the extra noise. My kiddo wanted to make a special guest appearance. Now she's trying to eat my toothbrush holder. Anyway, I'm totally for dumping the teams that we don't need. And I don't know if we really settled this. Do we want to just vote to drop one of the Wednesday or Sunday meetings for next week and just make it a combined meeting? Just start that this week, or do we want to vote on that?
Let's send it through the proposal process, but I think that it seemed like everybody was in alignment that showed up here today, which, you know, that's one of the opportunities that we provide, you know, and we want to let everybody be heard. But I think
I'll do a sesh poll, and then we can do a vote if we need one.
I'd argue we don't need to do a sesh poll because we've already did it. We already kind of got a temp check in the meeting yesterday, an hour ago.
Well, yeah, no, I was going to say, but did we agree on which meeting we're going to drop? Wednesday or Sunday?
The benefit, though, Blurs, of providing a sesh poll is that there's people that may want to express whatever communication, and that just provides one additional opportunity for people to do that. So I like the idea of doing a sesh poll, and I'll help you get some verbiage on that, because we want to provide everybody the opportunity to have the voice, especially because, you know, it is still like a holiday weekend. So, you know, want to be respectful of everybody, so that, because everybody's voice does matter for sure.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I was just tossing out there.
Yeah, and the other thing is we just want to get people in the habit of voting, because we've got 51 members of the REtoken snapshot, and I think we've only had 12 people actually cast ballots. I know some people don't vote on stuff they don't care about, but eventually there'll be stuff that people do care about, like where should we spend a significant amount of money, or who should be on the board of stewards when we have one later on, that kind of thing. We don't want people to be like, oh, I didn't even know how to vote, after we've had up to, 100 or multiple hundreds of proposals and they just don't vote.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Well, we'll put this again through the formal process. You already saw make some changes here during where these teams, the new platform team, we turned off, and I'll just recap that here real quick. We went in with the little pencil and changed the new platform team, and same thing on the core team, where the epics don't repeat, and then that will leave the other three. But the main thing is, and this is me speaking to myself because I haven't done that yet, but go in, put in your epic statements, allocate your gives. See, I've got to do that. That's some homework here for me. And then the goal is also, this is something that I want to increase the budget for. And, you know, the main thing though is we don't want to increase the budget and we still aren't doing anything in between one live stream to the other live stream. The real opportunity is to start being more autonomous with getting things done outside of our live streams. Any final thoughts? Are we going to free up 15 minutes here?
Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year. Great to chat with you.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. And one of the things here, just a final thought, and I'll talk to Mrs. Yonks too on this as far as the calendar, because I do want us to be well presented on this. The format's going to be, this is a live stream, but it also needs to, this is anyway, I'm just rambling right now. So we'll take that offline and figure out, because I think the other opportunity, a lot of this schedule here was done because of the holiday for the last 2 weeks. So the opportunity of getting some regular cadence on these. So we'll figure out what the best time is. We might even do a let us meet on that, but we'll take that offline and figure out. I'll catch up with D-Sign and Dax on the dev team, and then figure out how that we want to approach our calendar. So
Oh,
This
and
is-
one other thing, Blackfire didn't, he originally signed up to run the ambassador team and then he wasn't able to, so that team still needs a captain if anybody wants to do it. If anybody, I can probably be a co-captain on it unless we've got two people that just want to take it, but I would love somebody to take the lead, it'd be really helpful.
sounds like a plan. I agree with that as well. But we'll any final thoughts before we give it a wrap here for today?
It's great. I love it. We're looking forward to the 2022. Thank you.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, and we appreciate everything. You've been very quiet here today, Dax. So thank you for chiming in. We love all the contributions. I'm wanting to catch up with you on the I don't know if you can work some magic, but we have an immediate need to get DGen set up on another server. So we'll take that offline and see if you can do anything with your bankless DAO connections to help move that conversation forward.
Sure. Happy to help. Yeah.
Awesome.
Take it offline. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everybody. Happy New Year. WAGME
Happy New Year.
2022.